tree.
Motor City, we've been around for 80 years. That's like 560 in dog years. Basically, we're the top dogs of Colorado. And thanks to our deals, selection, and service, we've earned some pretty loyal customers. And our GM Mark, he's the most loyal guy I know. Even after I chewed up his shoe, it was delicious.
Great trucks, amazing deals, and belly rubs for dogs. Come see why Colorado drives Phil Long Ford in Motor City. Hey guys, where's my shoe?
All right, crew, back with coverage here on this Wednesday morning, and I had to get a couple things kind of ready to go for the 24-hour channel to kind of head into the afternoon here. I've checked in with Mary this morning. Puppies are doing good. She is rocking and rolling. Some of you have shared your reports with me, some photos on social media, and, you know, one of the things that I would say is we have been trying really hard to hit here at Peaks to Plains Weather that you weren't going to measure what fell with this one, and I'm glad we did that. I'm glad we have that experience because, man, that is certainly going to be the case here as this system moves through. Here's what it looks like on top of America's Mountain right now. That looks like, you know, it's tough to know up there with the wind that we get. You can see the cog up there early this morning. That's kind of a fun morning. Maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5 inches. I don't know, more blowing off on the rocks there. Here's what it looks like on top of Cloud Camp. So we're dropping in elevation right now, and I'm going to keep that rolling as we look at Monument on top of the hill here at County Line Road, where the visibility has gone by. And if you can see the flakes, like some of those dendrites there zipping by. That's kind of cool to see as the next wave is continuing to push to the southeast across the region. But you get across Colorado Springs and you keep dropping in elevation region. Roads have just been wet. And in Pueblo this morning, we've got reports from people that it's coming down pretty good on the south end of town. But you can see there, even though visibility is picking up, we've got some snow on the cooler surfaces now. Roads are still wet. A plow just cruising through there. And they're not going to have to do too much with just the wet roads that are continuing across the region. Live TAMCO radar this morning shows some of the heavier showers now that have started to accumulate in spots out from Pueblo off to the east. And you can see that enhancement that is kind of rolling across the region here with some of these darker blues. I got a report from Crowley County that some snowflakes are mixing in now. There's some other pockets a little farther to the west here with some convergence that we've had up against the hills where some of the upslope is meeting the flow coming off the higher terrain here from the northwest where we've had some, a little bit heavier showers that have tried to get going. But the next wave here has been moving off of the hills over the last couple of hours, and you can see that moving from west to east. And that's been bringing down visibilities from Denver up across the Palmer Divide, across Douglas County. Into Elbert County, snow's picked up a little bit. Teller County, the snow has picked up a little bit. It's picked up again in the upper Arkansas River Valley. And that band will continue to move off to the east here over the next few hours. It's been moving to the east at about 40 miles an hour. And so if I kind of extend that off here a little bit, it's going to move across kind of the heart of the viewing area here in the cities between now and lunchtime. And we'll continue to move across the area. So Canyon City will see things pick up. Colorado Springs will see things pick up as we move through the next little bit. So that's why I wanted to pop on right now and give you an update on that. Because once we get that out of here, we'll see things start to break up as we move into the afternoon. So let me give you a little bit of a different perspective here and kind of widen the view out a touch. I'll add the satellite to it. I'll use a combination of radars here, a little bit different radar tool. And you can see those areas of enhancement where the lift is a little bit more significant, kind of pushing off to the east-southeast. But if I widen the view back across northwestern Colorado, look at how behind that next wave that's been pushing off to the southeast, there's not a lot going on. That's the edge of the upper level system. And so as that clears the area through the afternoon from northwest to southeast, things will get quieter. And so that's something to be aware of. So I want to time out the rest of the storm here as we move through the remainder of our morning and into the afternoon. Those areas of enhancement that are out there across the southeast plains where the snow's picked up a little bit, across Crowley County, Pueblo right now, that moves off to the southeast. It'll hit the Raton Mesa. So some of you that maybe haven't seen snow stick yet in that area, you will. And then that second wave is coming back behind it, and you can see it here at 11:30 from just north of Pagosa through the northern half of the San Luis Valley, kind of eastern parts of Fremont County at that point, and sort of decreasing as it moves across El Paso County off to the southeast. And then we hit the early afternoon, and that second kind of main last ditch effort part of the upper level systems around Walsenburg and Trinidad, so it'll reduce our visibility some. Some of us over the plains where we've had a switch over to snow, we'll see rain become more likely as we hit the middle part of the day and the sun getting higher in the sky. But notice how things are shutting off really, really quick here as we head into the evening. So, how much more snow? I'm not sure a lot. I mean, over some of the mountain areas, you might get another quick inch or two. It's certainly possible. But Mary and I have been showing you over the last few days how the amounts that were going to fall and what you would measure would be way different. And that is what we're certainly going to see here for the balance of the day with this next wave moving through. So let's check out Canyon City right now. See where we are, and you can see that we're getting a little bit better visibility than we had earlier. We move east toward Penrose, and you can see we've seen the snow stick through the course of the morning off to the side of the road We didn't have that a couple of hours ago, so that has changed as this wave has moved in. And those of you in Pueblo West has been telling me you've started to see some stick to the grass. We see that on the camera here. And in Pueblo at First Street, the visibility has come down a little bit. If I give you another look here in Pueblo, this one from Highway 50, this is at Elizabeth, and you can see that everybody's moving along okay, but, kind of off to the side of the road there, we do have a little bit of white, and we thought we'd get a little bit on the grass in Pueblo. Some of you out across the plains may be seeing that as well. Check Walsenburg and Trinidad a little bit farther to the south here early this morning. We've seen the snow stick into the grass, but roads have been mainly wet. When there are bursts, if you're going to go drive in that area, be aware bridges and overpasses might slush up a little bit. But in Trinidad, it's still 33. We're running above freezing, so it's not bad. Now, you get over the Sangre de Cristos, things certainly change up because you get over La Vida Pass, and that's just been kind of going downhill through the course of the morning, and there's snow-packed conditions up on the pass right now, and then that will improve. If you're driving west into the San Luis Valley, you start dropping in elevation, things start getting better. So that's certainly the case. Falcon this morning, if you're driving across the Palmer Divide off to the northeast of Colorado Springs, we had slush earlier. The snow's pulled back some. Now the road has melted it. And we last few days, man, we've been talking about the ebb and flow of the roads and even the snow, on the cooler surfaces, how that was going to work out today. And man, we've nailed that thing in a big way. You can see that we've had snow in Lyman, but I-70 just looking wet there. Things are pretty in Manitou Springs this morning. The next cog is ready to go up to the top of America's Mountain. They've got snow on the hills there, snow on the rooftops. That is a beautiful scene. And so it's been a mixture of rain and snow across the area, as we knew would be the case. So that's kind of where we sit here as we move past 9:30 and we approach 10 o'clock. I'm getting some different... my son wants me to get him another AI account in college. Okay. All right, Nathan. You can buy that. Kevin's out on the plains. He is in Crowley County. It's actually west of Rocky Ford. He says he's up to over a quarter of an inch now. Rain's trying to turn into snow as some of those bands are moving through. Brandy says, looking forward to catching Mary on one of these. So Brandy, Mary is kind of our afternoon evening. So check the app for the forecast. And she does updates on there. She did a live last night at a little bit after 8 o'clock, kind of getting ready for the system. And that's going to be kind of our ebb and flow. Sometimes we'll be on together, but it's two people trying to cover 24 hours. And so, we need to live life too, clean the house, do grocery shopping, and that kind of thing. But that's sort of the ebb and flow of what we're doing. And then Kelly's got snow and rain in Widefield right now with a little bit of a mix happening. So let me tell you kind of as we move through the rest of the day and we hit our high temperatures here, when those will occur and how that's going to impact the likelihood of snow piling up more from where you are. Because right now, our temperatures outside are sitting like right around hovering just above freezing out over the eastern plains. I mean, we've got 33s in Lamar and La Junta and Trinidad. We've seen temperatures come up over the Palmer Divide in between waves because we were in the 20s earlier. And even Woodland Park, we're sitting at 25. And, we look at the snow on the side of the roads. It's, a burst comes through, even in Woodland Park where the temperature's that cold, but then the rates pull back and I can see it melt off to the side, which is what we talked about happening, right? So here's how it's going to work for the rest of the day, I think, because as we get this sort of second wave coming through and we hit the back part of the afternoon, we will hit our high temperatures very late in the day, around dinner time. So for a place like Calhan, where things will become more spotty as we move past 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we hit our high around dinner, and then the sun goes down, and we get below freezing really, really quick. Here's another location for you. Up across Divide, maybe a lingering snow shower into the afternoon, but the next 2 hours or so, as that last wave of this system comes in, will be our chance to maybe get another inch or two of snow, and then we'll see it do this, certainly on the roads and even the cooler surfaces. We hit our high late in the day as well, and then we get down below freezing really, really quick. We sit 23 like through a good chunk of the night. And so that's kind of how the rest of the day is going to work. So even though I've got highs in the 30s and 40s, they're coming around dinner time after we can get that snow out of there. So that's a little bit misleading because a lot of the day isn't sitting there. And then once we get the sun to go down, the temperatures come down pretty quick. Now, over the last 24 hours, models have come up a degree or two in a lot of areas overnight, especially over the northern parts of El Paso County and up across the Palmer Divide. And I think that is good news in terms of our plants and whatnot for a freeze. In fact, let me show you a couple of areas overnight here. So we'll start with the Palmer Divide. And I can show you that, there are going to be areas that are cold, and you certainly get some variability out there. But this is, in a couple spots are still down in the low 20s, but more areas than a few days ago are kind of at risk of ending up between 23 and 25 degrees. And the areas that are likely to are kind of along Monument Creek. I mean, think about when you're at Woodman and Powers in Colorado Springs, right? And you're looking back toward the hills. It goes down. And especially like when you get to like Rangewood and you're going west, like toward Union, you drop down. Like Monument Creek is kind of the low spot in the metro area, right? And so those are going to be colder than areas where it's a little bit higher out toward Falcon and maybe out toward, Peyton. By a couple degrees, but that'll make a difference. And then over Teller County, we will be chilly overnight tonight. Let's talk about a little bit farther to the south. So Pueblo, running west on Highway 50 here, kind of hanging out around 30 on the river, but then you see some 20s when you get away from the river. Even into parts of the San Luis Valley overnight is going to be quite chilly. You can see that here. Early on Thursday morning, we'll be on either side of 30. So that's a hard freeze because we'll be there for a long time overnight with how quick the storm is getting out of here. But certainly the higher mountain areas and the big mountain valleys are going to be colder than what we'll have along the foothills and out across the plains. And so you can see sitting on either side of 30 here for a lot of us. Until you get north of the river, we're a couple degrees maybe colder than some other spots. And so, yes, is this a hard freeze? Yes, but I think even a degree or two is good news compared to a couple nights ago, where I was seeing more, 24, 25 type stuff than now. So kind of splitting hairs there a little bit, but I think that's a little bit better, maybe, than what it looked like we were going to have. So that's good news. Maria says she's getting some fluffy snow by Black Forest now. Diane wants to know when it'll stop in Monument, and she did say thank you, and we'll show that again. I know people are in and out of these things. So I think once we hit, the early part of the afternoon and we get this second wave, which you can see Maria and Diane kind of back, north of Durango through Gunnison, kind of into Salida up toward Denver. That's this like kind of main edge of the storm. Once we get that southeast of us, notice how things start to break up. There'll still be a couple scattered showers around, but we're on the decrease through the afternoon. So the trend with time, especially as we move past 1 o'clock, will be for things to be winding down. Okay? That's kind of where we're at here. I am going to change a couple of different graphics really quick. I want to move the clock on these things, and then I will kind of show you, how much snow we might get as this last wave moves overhead, because I had it set for from 5 o'clock earlier today, but obviously need to change it now that we're getting toward 10 o'clock. So let me do that. And I'm going to do the same thing Mary and I have been doing for the last few days here. We work really hard to talk about impacts, providing color to the numbers that we show you, or context, if you will. And, we spent a lot of time saying, hey, it's early May, given our temperature profile of the storm and what we've had around here as of late. You are not going to measure what fell, and most of you're not doing that. I mean, more has fallen than what you've got out in the yard. And so, I saw some forecasts that, like in parts of El Paso County, had like 10 inches. And I was just like, what are we doing? I knew that wasn't going to be the case. So, we try to, what do these mean for you? What are these numbers like? What are the limitations of some of the tools that we have, and how we choose to share things with you to try to communicate impacts are something we work really hard at. So we'll take a crack at this here for the rest of the day. Because as the next wave comes in, like we're getting to the time of the day now where the sun is up, and you've got to be up at some elevation to even get another inch or two in a lot of cases, right? A little bit farther to the south of there, across Highway 50. Like, it's going to be tough unless you're up really high to get more than 2 inches at this point for the balance of the day. And some of you, have seen some snow through the morning where when you woke up, you didn't have any. And some of you have seen your snow go like this in your yard. That's how these things late in the season work out. Off to the west of Walsenburg, Trinidad, we may get a couple bursts here. That next wave is kind of pinpointing this area over the southern Sangres, where we'll get kind of, maybe more than 2 inches in some spots, and up high could be on the order of 4, 5, or 6. It's certainly a possibility because we hit the afternoon. There's a higher chance of some convection coming in. So think about what I just showed you over the southern Sangre de Cristos, and watch Skycast. And this version of Skycast that Mary and I have been showing you for the last few days has done a really good job. Notice how some of the darkest blues here, as we move into the early part of the afternoon, with that main wave, or the last wave moving through, however you want to say it, it's kind of focused down around Walsenburg and Trinidad and Alamosa. So that's why I think the potential for more than 2 inches of snow, even over the mountains, is a little bit higher in that area than some other spots. So it's kind of what you see is what you get. What you've experienced through the morning is what will happen here as this next wave moves overhead. And, these late season ones are tough. Dallas says the flakes are really heavy, but it's literally only sticking on the grass and deck. Yeah, it's just, there's a lot of warmth in the ground, and that is impacting how much of this stuff is sticking. Now, from a water perspective, it's fantastic, right? Like, we all need this water, and that's really, really good news. So let me show you by the numbers here over the next couple of days. I love these graphics. I think they're very, very helpful to kind of look at a bunch of different weather parameters at once and kind of tell the story of what is going to happen. So you see here, as we head through the remainder of the day, we even get rid of the clouds with time. I mean, you can see here, if you look at the cloud percentage, late part of the day here, we're dropping from cloudy to, by 6 o'clock, we're at 50. I mean, you might see a little bit of blue sky, especially if you're more north of Pueblo, but that clear sky overnight allows our temps to come down. We're down, early in the morning. We hit that low somewhere between 2 and 3. Pueblo will be, within a degree or two of freezing. But look at the turnaround for tomorrow. Into the 60s by noon, so we leave the morning chill behind pretty quick. We get a west wind tomorrow as we bring in this new air mass. Nothing too bad, but that does help to dry the humidity out as we end up in the 70s. And then we're not anywhere near as cold as we move into early Friday morning. In fact, we'll be in the 40s for Pueblo. So this, this chillier system gets out of here really, really fast. We look at the numbers for Woodland Park, which is kind of representative of some of the mountain areas here. And you can see that we break up the clouds in the afternoon between 3 and 6 o'clock. We're a little bit breezier up over the hills, bringing in the warmer air mass. And so between 6 and 9 o'clock, we get a nice jump. We spend the afternoon tomorrow in the 50s. But we spend a good chunk of time tonight in the mid-20s up over Teller County. And so a hard freeze for sure, but look at early Friday morning on that top line for the temperature. We're in the 30s here. So, the storms kind of get in and out of here pretty quick this time of year. So if I show you the grids for Colorado Springs, tells a similar story, right? The east wind that we get this afternoon switches around out of the northwest. Once the sun comes up, we start really bringing in the warmer air. We get into the 60s tomorrow. We're warmer as we head from Thursday night into Friday. So whatever happens in your yard tonight, like in terms of any damage you get to bushes and, some of your flowers that are up in some cases, you don't have to worry about that as we move from Thursday night into Friday. I drained my sprinkler system yesterday, been telling you about that. I'm going to fire it back up tomorrow. Heading into the weekend here because, man, things look like it's the middle of June in my yard. So I need to get that rolling. Cass is checking in from Calhan. She says we've received 3 to 4 inches. You've had more than that fall, but that's a good report for how much you've got on there. Divide is 4 to 5 inches on the ground. That's great. We had Teller County in a how much would you measure, like in a 3 to 7. So I think we're going to end up perfect right in the middle of that. And so that's good to see. I think we're doing a good job. We thought there'd be a dust from Pueblo out across the plains. Some areas have had that. And I'm really, really happy with how this storm is working out from an impact perspective like we thought. So that's really good. If you want to come on the show, crew, you can. We have these links that we always have for you, vmix.at/zmSjK and vmix.at 1RJSL1. The S and K are capitalized in the top one. The J and S are capitalized in the bottom one. And here's what you do with those. You put those into a browser and you come on the show and you give a report. We did that with, I think there were 6 of you earlier this morning when we did 4 hours of coverage, and it was awesome. And we got to see like snow in places. We talked to we talked to Black Forest, we talked to Kiowa, we talked to Colorado Springs. We were out over the plains in Crowley County. Who else did we get? Had some, I can't even remember. But it was cool. They came on and gave useful information. We talked to Jim on the southwest side of Colorado Springs. His yard was looking really pretty. How do you say that? Jonna is snowing in Pueblo right now. Yeah, kind of nice to see. And we want the water in any way we can get it, whether it's rain or snow. I know the snow this time of year, because it's wet and heavy, makes it kind of pretty. Radar is not the best tool in these situations to analyze how much rain or snow we've had for a couple different reasons. On the estimated rain product, one of the challenges that we get is you get some artificially high returns on radar when rain is changing to snow, and that makes some of the estimated rain too high. Like I know that's what down by Walsenburg. Now we had a thunderstorm rolling across the area yesterday. We're looking at the last 24 hours here, but that's too high. Like I know that. And then you have that transition from rain to snow and you have to use a completely different product. And some of these amounts are too high here up across the Palmer Divide, right? And we knew that was going to be the case, like from how much you measured. Now this much may have fallen in terms of snow. It's certainly possible, but nobody's going to measure the amount that fell, and we talked about that. Richard is asking, what are my thoughts about El Nino that he's been reading about? Will Colorado be affected by it? I had a good conversation, it's 3 weeks ago maybe, with Kyle Mosley from the National Weather Service office in Pueblo, who is the long-range forecasting guru at the Pueblo office. And if you go, Richard, to the blog page of peakstoplainsweather.com, it should still be down here. Let's see how far down we've got to go, though. It was a while ago. I've got to go on to the second page, and it's probably on there. There it is. So the second page of the blog, if you go there, we have an honest conversation about it, what we do, what we don't know, what it may mean for the winter, some of the hype we talk about the super El Nino, which isn't a scientific, that's not a scientific thing. It's one of those media went wild, like somebody was just sort of speaking, trying to make a point, and then, headlines, they go crazy. We're not going to do that here. We're always just going to be honest with you. We're about neighbors helping neighbors and walking through situations. But it has potential to be a stronger El Nino for sure. If it's too strong, one of the things Kyle pointed out is it might not be as exciting as you think. I'll tell you this, though. I'm confident that this coming winter, in terms of like snowpack in the mountains and stuff, will be better than the one that we are coming out of. Let me show you why. We have been so far behind, especially as we got into the back part of February and March and we had all that record warmth. The snowpack across the state, we were just busting records there, moving through March into early April about our snowpack numbers. We've gotten a little bit better in this last week. You see that black line kind of leveled out a little bit. We're getting closer to the previous minimums of the snowpack data set on the automated sensors. So I'm certain that will be better than this winter was. Hard to get crappier, right? We've been on the really low ends of things. And Richard says, I'll check it out. Thanks. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Okay. Martin says, we've got 1.5 inches in my backyard. But then he also says it's pretty, but it's ruining the lilac bushes, the other bushes, and the trees, and he's got an angry face. Yeah, that's how it goes. That late season stuff has a lot of weight on it, and that can be not good news. Here's the thing for this evening. If you are in a place and you keep some of this snow on your flowers or your bushes into tonight, while it's pulling them down right now, it does help insulate against a freeze, especially if you're somebody that's on the colder end of things. Like I've got a couple inches on some of my stuff right now in the yard on the northwest side of the Springs. I hope it doesn't melt this afternoon because I want to keep that on the plants as we head into tonight. I'm not getting a lot of droopage as of yet. And so if I can insulate and keep some of those air pockets in the snow, that'll actually help a little bit regarding a hard freeze. Lisa's like, man, I don't care what kind it is. If it's rain, snow, bring it on. I'm sort of with you. Like, we need this water. I don't care what form it comes like. Because over the last few months, we've seen drought conditions develop across Colorado. And, we've got some pretty significant conditions. In fact, let me show you how as we moved through the back part of winter and into spring, our drought conditions changed. So we're in early February here, and, we were already behind on snowpack in the mountains. The central and northern mountains didn't get that fall system that we had around Pagosa that caused the flooding. But we moved through March and we started to get that record warmth that lasted for several weeks. And we moved through April and you didn't have a lot going on. And you can see how drought has expanded across southern Colorado. And so we are getting into deep drought conditions south of Highway 50 over the southern Sangre de Cristos and the plains. We're doing a little bit better in the vicinity of the cities compared to almost everybody around us. And every bit of moisture that you get can help. And to have two decent storms move through in a week has been a nice thing. This storm won't be in the drought monitor that comes out Thursday, but it'll be in next week. There's a little bit of a lag in how the reporting works for those things. But it's something that we will watch. And Eric says, yeah, I've got no complaints. However, the moisture comes. I'm with you, my man. That's really, really important. Really, really important. Let's talk about the extended forecast here. I will take a short break. We'll pay a couple of bills, and I will be back with our forecast into the weekend because you may have some plans with mom, and weather could impact them. Stick around.
Emergencies are unpredictable, but you don't have to be unprepared. Peak Alerts sends you targeted emergency alerts in real time for the places that matter to you most, so you know what's happening and what to do next. Know first, act fast. That's the power of Peak Alerts.
This is John May, General Manager of Petrale Roofing, up on another customer's roof doing a free 21-point inspection. If you'd like us to take a look at your roof, give us a call today, 719-375-8773. We'd be happy to take a look and see the condition of your roof. Petrale Roofing, we're a Diamond certified TAMCO installer, which means we can offer a industry-leading 25-year workmanship warranty to give you peace of mind in the storm. Call Petrale Roofing, 719-375-8773. Schedule your free inspection today.
Another attorney commercial with big promises? Millions of dollars, practicing law 24 hours a day, blah, blah, blah. Let's get rid of the smoke and mirrors. None of that really matters. What does matter? Having a medical doctor as your attorney. That matters.
Grow something beautiful this season. Hydrix Colorado Tree Farm Nursery has trees, shrubs, and perennials that are grown for our harsh climate. Plant smarter with expert guidance and quality plants. Visit coloradotreefarmnursery.com.
All right, extended forecast gets toward more May type stuff, and this might be the last sort of gasp of winter at lower elevations. And obviously, I think every few days you go by in May, it gets less and less likely to get another snow. Not that the chance is zero, it just gets less and less likely. So you can see here off to the west of us, behind the system that's moving through today, there's not a lot going on. There's a big ridge that's building here. So when we show you this Skyscan and Jetstream, the upper level pattern, the reason that Mary and I look at this is because that's where we start the forecast process. We have to know what's happening in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. That drives what happens at the surface, where the fronts are, and the weather that we experience. And so this kink in the flow here is the last sort of gasp of the upper level system that will get off to the east of us as we move into tonight. And that's what will clear us out and allow us to have this night where some of us deal with below freezing temps. But the ridge moves in pretty quick here. And so as we head into tomorrow, temperatures warm up. There might be a couple showers over the mountains in the northern part of the state. We're not going to get those in southern Colorado. Thursday looks like a really nice day. Now this ridge here, as we move into the weekend, will be impacted by a system that rides the ridge and kind of comes down the east side of it as we move through the weekend. That's going to bring a cold front into the area. And so as it approaches Colorado on Saturday, we may have some showers and storms to deal with, and then maybe a couple behind it on Sunday. Early next week, this ridge that moves in takes the temperatures way up, and I've even got some 90s in the forecast out across the eastern plains. So here's your Saturday. This is just hit and miss type stuff. And that's because the system's coming in from the north. It destabilizes the atmosphere. I wouldn't cancel any plans around this, but there might be a shower or a storm as we move into the afternoon and early part of the evening as that upper level system is traversing Colorado. It gets east of the mountains. It brings a front in. It pulls the temperatures back a little bit for Mother's Day, which starts off really, really quiet. So if you want to do a hike or something with mom, I would do it early. Temperatures should be pretty comfortable heading out the door, a little bit of a cool start, but then pushing that cooler air mass up against the hills in the afternoon, maybe a stray shower or storm. Again, I wouldn't cancel any plans around that either, but they'll be out there, and it's my job to let you know about that. So we leave the chill of tomorrow morning behind pretty quick. Even in Woodland Park, we get into the mid-50s, and I think a lot of the snow that's out there is probably gone by late tomorrow afternoon unless you're in the shade. And we get even warmer for Friday, chance of a shower or a storm Saturday and Sunday, a drier day Monday. And then over the mountains, you hit the middle part of May, And you get into this situation, it's called differential heating, where the surface of the higher terrain areas ends up being relatively warmer than, like, if, as an example, let's say we take Woodland Park, right? 8,500 feet, give or take. If we went out to that elevation over the plains, the Woodland Park temperature is warmer than 8,500 feet above the ground over the plains. That differential heating destabilizes the atmosphere, and so middle to late part of May, we start seeing those afternoon cloud buildups and maybe a shower or a storm. We have a chance of those over the weekend in Colorado Springs. Early next week looks warm. Maybe we get a day where a shower or storm pops off of America's mountain. It's a possibility. Pueblo, I think we're less likely to catch a shower or storm over the weekend and through next week as well, but look at the early part of the week. Mid 80s to low 90s. I think Tuesday is probably the warmest day in there. So as we start to head toward high school graduations, the end of the school year and all of that, we get into this, sort of situation here where the atmosphere starts looking more typical of the time of year. No doubt about that. All right, let's check in with my buddy John Tomke. He is popping in here early. Well, I guess it's not early in the morning anymore, but John is in Crowley County. And John, has the situation changed much from where you are from the last time that I talked to you?
Well, you can kind of see behind me. We're getting storm, and let's see. Good news. We're let's see on the beach, probably up to about 4, 5, 10, almost half inch. Good now.
Nice. We'll take that, man. That's great. Half inch is good news. That's awesome.
Yes, like I said, the pastures have been holding. We had some more moisture in February, and a little bit of winter moisture. And guys need to be turning cattle out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The dog, he loves this weather, but he looks like he's been in the ditch.
Well, he's having fun, right?
He can go into the dog loo, or he can go into the garage. He hangs around.
Oh, that's awesome. So you've done pretty good in the last couple of hours since we last talked then, because that's great. That's fantastic. That is the best news that we could ask for. Anything else to add, my friend?
My mother-in-law was supposed to go get her dad, and she has a beauty shop. And she lives about 20 miles north of Parkway, and she said she didn't want to come in. It was a little
Well, there
that's
you
great
go.
news.
Yeah, good day to hunker down. All right, thanks for checking back in, John. I appreciate it. Give me an update a little bit. Give me an update later on about how much you got. He is just loving that moisture down there. Thank you, sir. And he did that really easy, right? He popped on. He gave us a little report, an update of what he had earlier. He used our links there, and you can do the same thing. And if you're like, man, I don't want to go on there and talk to Meister, I'm nice. I'll be nice to you. We'll have a little bit of fun. I would love to talk to somebody up in Teller County right now and to see what you guys have. That would be so awesome. Okay. Let's see what we got here. All right. Let's do another check of some of the road conditions with the cameras here. We'll come from Woodland Park down the slope into Colorado Springs. So here's where we are right now. I've seen certainly the sides of the road getting more white, the sidewalk there getting more white, the visibility has come down as the wave comes in. And on the left-hand side of the road, which is this is the direction going eastbound, there's still a little bit of snow there. So you get off of Highway 24 on some of the hillsides in the neighborhoods, certainly some slush and some slick spots to deal with, and you've got that in other parts of Teller County, no doubt. We get to Cascade, we're dropping in elevation. We saw this road get slushy when the first wave of the morning moved through after the sun came up, and then the road improved. And so, as you head into Manitou Springs and you drop in elevation even more this morning, we're doing fine, right? Like elevation plays a role. this time of year. But you can see on the bridge here, you get off to the side of the road. Notice the difference between the part of the road that is on the ground versus that elevated surface of the bridge. The edges are holding some, and so it's 31 there. And so as you get up in elevation, you do need to know that if you hit a bridge spot that goes over a creek or something, and there are a few of them on Highway 24 up Ute Pass, those things will get slushy or maybe even a little bit slick first, probably more slushy type stuff. Let's go from the north side of the Springs up toward Monument Hill and see how things are changing. It's still hanging out at 32 at the Academy. So the road is just wet there, a little bit higher in elevation, about 4 or 5 more miles up the road. Same thing, at Interquest, doesn't look too bad. And then we hit the Monument area, and we'll kind of go from south to north across Monument. So we'll start at Baptist, and it doesn't look too bad. That chain-up lane earlier this morning had snowpack on it. You get to 105 a little bit farther to the north. We're getting into the middle of the day now. Road doing okay, but we've certainly seen the snow pick up here over the last little bit. And we get a touch farther north of there by the Park and Ride. That's not too far from the other camera, so it doesn't look too different. But then you get up across the hill, and even there, the interstate is still holding on to wet conditions. So that's what's going to impact how much, snow you end up measuring, and the inability, if you will, of this last wave to give us a bunch of extra snow just because we're in the middle part of the day now. Take you a little farther north up to Castle Rock. The road is wet, and so that's the case heading into Denver as well, where we've seen the snow pick up this morning. Northeast of Colorado Springs, out on Highway 24, Falcon, that road when I came on early this morning was wet. Then that wave came through, it slushed up. We had a little bit of snowpack, just melted now. And out toward Lyman, same situation. So roads are doing pretty dang good. Take you from Canyon City eastward over toward Penrose. And you can see from when I started this live stream that a lot of that snow is melted off the side of the road there. Let's look at Highway 67 and Highway 50 at if that camera will load up, and it doesn't look like it's going to. Sometimes those CDOT cameras go down a little bit. I was going to see if that looked any different. But we take you into Pueblo West. And yeah, we started to get some accumulation on the grass there. A few of you have got about an inch. A couple of you have reported a little bit more than that in the Pueblo area. And you can see some of that around the trees there on the right-hand side at Highway 50 and Elizabeth. And then, out across the eastern plains, there are a couple pockets where we've got some light snow. We just talked to John a little bit ago, and things were okay. Walsenburg were wet, but you head west of there, up over La Vida Pass, and it is a different deal. But that looks better than it did a couple hours ago when we were totally snow-packed. Now we're just wet there. And you head into Trinidad, things are just wet as well. One more stop before we get our next guest. Snow's picked up in Salida, and the road has started to hold some of that snow again. So this is that ebb and flow that we've been talking about through the course of the morning here across the area, and obviously the terrain is playing more and more of a role. All right, let's check in with our next guest here early this morning. He's stepping out. Why do I keep saying early this morning? I've been on since early this morning, but it's not the case now. We go to the southwest side of the Springs. We're back out in the yard there underneath the awning at Jim's place. Jim, still looks pretty.
It does. I mean, it's just a delightful snowfall, good moisture. So just enjoying the day. So,
Jim, you have a lot of EM waves on your neck and your head right now. I see several different audio devices that are on your person.
Exactly.
What is happening?
Well, I'm working and also using this laptop to give weather reports from time to time.
Oh, okay. So you're blaming it on Peaks to Plains. I see how it is. Okay.
Not at all. I'm blaming it on work, unfortunately.
Oh, well.
I gotta pay the bills.
That dang work. You know, that's how it goes. Have you seen like any more? Like, is the snow melting in the yard, or is it picking up? What is?
It is. It is. It's actually my front yard there. I don't know if you can see
Oh
it.
yeah.
The little crescent moon has increased from a sliver that was probably about 3 feet to now probably about 12 feet. So
Okay.
it's some is still coming down, but the stuff that's on the ground is less.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Well, that is a good report. Thank you, my
hey,
friend.
real
Yeah.
quick on the rain gauges.
Yeah.
How do those little rain gauges work with snow? Because it seems like the snow is just piling up on the top of my rain gauges.
Well, I mean, that's, rain gauges are a tool that has a challenge, right? That's part of it. You got to get the representative water amount in there. If you put up 3 of the same rain gauge in a small area, you'll get 3 different measurements. So it's meant to just kind of give you an idea. What do you have in yours? Like, let's go investigate it.
I'm walking out right now. My
Okay.
dog Boona is hunting squirrels, keeping our yard safe.
There you go.
Yeah, so squirrels are enjoying the bird feeder on this snowy day. So yeah, this rain gauge here has just snow on the top. Doesn't look like there's much in it.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. I
see
can
that
see what
one?
you're talking about. Yeah. That's not like necessarily in the best place either.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to try to get it. I mean, you have to mount it to something, I know, but that one looks like it's a rough spot.
Here's one in my yard, if you can see that one.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
I know
Hard getting it in that hole.
To play today, so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's weather, Jim. None of this stuff is exact.
Fair enough.
That's really funny. I don't know, man. You're probably up around 4/10, a half inch of water, something like that is, I think, where a lot of us are going to end up. So that's certainly some good news. Thanks for the report, my man. I hear work calling. You better get back to it.
It is.
All right. Thank you, Jim. Everybody checking back in. I love it. Getting through it. Oh, and Sean Sheridan says, Jim Martin, look at that kid. I think those guys grew up together. Maria says at Black Forest and Woodman, some fluffy snow coming down now. Yeah, let's go to the radar and we'll look at this next wave coming in. This is sort of the leading edge here of what will be the last gasp of the storm for a lot of us in southern Colorado, because as we move through the next couple of hours, it will start to break up. So Tamco Live Radar showing us here from 6 o'clock until now, you see that first wave moving out across the plains, and then the second one on its heels that has moved across the mountain areas, and back behind that, there's not a lot going on across the northwestern part of Colorado because we get into subsidence on the backside of this wave. That's sinking air. So for a lot of us, what is moving through right now in the heart of the viewing area, from the northern parts of the San Luis Valley around Saguache, Salida, we showed you that camera where conditions have deteriorated a little bit. Cotopaxi, Howard, you guys are getting in on that in Fremont County right now. Northwestern parts of Teller County seeing things lighten up already. We're getting those bursts that we're hearing about across the Colorado Springs metro area, and you see the darker blues there. Pueblo, we've had that burst that's moving out toward Fowler now, move through, but we'll see this next wave move in. It's off to our west. And so we've got a few more hours to go, but getting into the middle part of the day here, it's just higher and higher elevations that are tending to deal with even the roads holding the snow. Because we checked, up over the Palmer Divide, it didn't look that bad. And right on schedule, Donna says it's snowing pretty consistently right now in Falcon, and that's because we're seeing those darker blues right where Donna is reporting from move over the area, and you see how in the last hour or so that has picked up. So for the back part of the day from where we are now, we see things start to break up a little bit. So we'll talk about that, and then I'll get out of the way here and let you guys get back to it. But for the balance of our Wednesday, we see this last main wave shift off to the southeast. And you can see that happening here on SkyCast. Now, as we hit the early part of the afternoon, it should be most intense over the southern Sangre de Cristos. So Walsenburg and Trinidad, you might, at least on the grass, if it worked out right, get another inch or so of some snow. I have a hard time thinking you'll get much more than that. But some of the mountain areas over the Sangre de Cristos, maybe back on Cuchara Pass, could get 3 or 4 inches and maybe a little bit more than that up high. But notice how things are breaking up in a big way behind that wave, and we head toward tonight, man. That system gets out of here really, really quick. And so we end up coming down below freezing for a lot of us. And then once we can get past that, early tomorrow morning with the sun coming up, we turn the corner here. Things end up getting sort of nicer as we move from Thursday, Friday into the weekend when we just get a chance of some showers out there. So that's kind of where we sit here as we move through this sort of last part of the morning. It's great to see this water. I feel like our forecast has worked out well. So hopefully you have been prepared for it. Thanks for being part of the live coverage this morning here on Peaks to Plains Weather. And we're grateful for your support. We hope that you are finding this useful. If it is, share the Peaks to Plains Weather app with your friends. That's where we try to get everybody. That's where we can take care of you the best, especially as we get into thunderstorm season here. We'll start talking about that over the next week, what thunderstorm coverage is going to look like on Peaks to Plains Weather, what our approach will be, what you can expect from us, how you can use the Peaks to Plains Weather app. We'll do some explainer type things. And we're kind of excited to take care of you in a way that we haven't been able to do before. So, we've done another, hour and a half, I guess, of coverage here. It's crazy how when you get excited about the weather and you talk about it, how long you can go. So enjoy the rest of the day. Enjoy the moisture. I hope the yards do okay tonight with the cold air moving in. You are watching Peaks to Plains Weather. Whenever you want it, we're here for you on the Peaks to Plains Weather app, peakstoplainsweather.com. And we've got Roku. We're streaming for you 24 hours a day. We're streaming for you on YouTube, on the website, in the app as well. Wherever you are, that's where we are. Have a good day.